Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and tonight, today, tomorrow, whenever you're watching this, we are going to be recording a commentary track for the 1979 film Alien. So, here it is. This is it. This is the one. This is one of the best science fiction horror movies ever made. Made people puke in the theater. That's how you know it's good. Back when Ridley Scott was at the top of his game. Very first thing we see in this intro is a monolith-shaped eye from the word alien. Very aesthetically interesting intro. How the words kind of build themselves, the letters even, out of these shapes. So this movie is very slow-paced. It's very simple. There's one alien in the whole film. And that's what makes it so terrifying. As somebody involved in the production put it at some point in some documentary, this is basically a haunted house movie in space. Jerry Goldsmith, of course, doing the music. Who else would you want to do it? But this movie it's again, slow-paced, atmospheric, blah, blah, blah. Insert buzzword here. It's a movie that's not very similar to its sequel in any way. And vice versa. Aliens is very different. This first movie is... The more times you watch it, it's better than the sequels. Than any of them. Not just because it's the progenitor, not just because it's the original, blah, blah, blah. It's not just the uniqueness of the concept and the H.R. Giger aesthetic. It's the construction of the narrative. It's the plot. It's the fact that you have a group of characters, very Firefly-esque cadre of space workers. They're like low-level astronauts. They're the lowest tier of astronaut you can be. And they're confronted with something so heinous and so beyond anything they're familiar with that the whole movie is elevated because you understand who these people are. They're just random assholes. They're random characters. They're relatable. You don't just have a single protagonist in the group who's designed to be a surrogate for the viewer. You have half a dozen of them, and then they die. Much better strategy to have multiple potential characters that your viewers might identify with, or your readers, for that matter. Having a single hero or a singular character that fills that role, it's a lot more limiting. The problem is having more than one is very difficult to accomplish in any medium. Any narrative that has more than one potential character that the viewer is going to imprint themselves upon, it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to juggle that kind of configuration. But I think this movie does it. I think... there are characters, when I first saw this movie, and I didn't know who was going to die, you can kind of tell Ripley's the main character, but it's ambiguous enough in the first maybe 20 minutes of the movie that you kind of look at the characters and go, if you've never seen any media about this media before, if you've never had it spoiled for you, and you're watching this for the first time, you might look at these characters and go, well, there's a couple that I'm pretty sure are secondary characters, but there's a chance that, one of these 2 or 3 characters is going to survive. That's what makes this movie good, in part, is you have these characters that are so fully fleshed out that any one of them could be the main character. That's what I'm trying to say. It's the point I'm trying to make. When you flesh out all of your characters... not perfectly equally, because that's impossible, but when you at least give a shit about it and you at least try, it gives the viewer a sense of ambiguity who is the hero? Who is the survivor? You don't know yet. It adds a layer of tension to the movie because, your viewers, their subconscious minds are trying to figure out, well, who am I supposed to root for? And, Game of Thrones succeeded so much as a book series and then as a TV adaptation because there are so many different narratives with so many different characters. You don't know who's going to win in the end. We still don't know in the books. But enough about that crap. Here we have our characters waking up from cryosleep. And it takes them a minute, I love this scene, man. It's just so careful. He reaches for his little IV monitoring sticker and pulls it off, and we see him wake up. This is Kane. Kind of interesting, his name's Kane. And he's the first one who wakes up, but, none of that's intentional. And right away, they're having fucking cigarettes, beers, coffee, and cereal. The American breakfast of choice. The space breakfast of champions. Sounds like a great breakfast to me, man. Goddamn. And they're talking about cornbread, and of course, James Cameron in the sequel would ape that little reference here. And of course, Brett, all he ever says is right. I feel dead. Anybody ever tell you look dead? It's these moments that Cameron kind of doubled down on in the sequel, which allowed him to develop twice as many characters, twice as fast, because he just went with more of this. Aliens is one of the examples of a perfect sequel because it just amplifies everything in its predecessor's roster of little narrative turns and film tricks. It just does the same thing but amplified. But this movie is so tight, it's so focused. As you get older and you rewatch all the movies you watched as a kid, certain ones you don't like anymore, you stop watching them, you start to focus on what endures, what holds up. This is one of those movies that holds up, the first Alien film. It really is the best. It barely beats its sequel. And again, not just because it started the whole franchise. It doesn't get credit for that in my mind. It's how precise it is and how it does everything it sets out to do, and it surprises the viewer in all sorts of ways. I mean, it's just... There's a reason it started a franchise. It's not because of its aesthetic or its creepy ideas. It's because of the little details. It's because of how well constructed it was. From everything from casting to the writing of the lines to the delivery of the lines to the set pieces to the cinematography, everything is so calculated. It's so precise. That's what makes this movie so good. Everything is so precise. They really do look like they're in a submarine or on a freighter, but they're in space. I mean, this is so fucking grungy, man. It's got the Fallout aesthetic. So rubber banding back to the plot, they're like, well, the ship woke us up. That means we're about to land on Earth. But they're realizing they're nowhere near Earth. They're way off. And you can see it on their faces, the horror of that. That's almost more scary than the alien, realizing that your perfect utopian automated ship has flung you into the middle of the galaxy and then it's woken you up by mistake. These characters, they're all thinking, what the fuck, is this 2001? Is our ship broken? Why did it wake us up so far from Earth? Beyond that, it's not just that we're far away, it's that we're off course. They're by Zeta 2 Reticuli. That is the Barney and Betty Hill alien abduction constellation. Those two people, that whole story is probably bullshit, but there were these two people in the 60s that claimed that they were abducted. And under hypnosis, they revealed, or one of them did, that the aliens said they were from Zeta Reticuli. So this story, this movie, is making reference to that UFO abduction narrative that took place 15 years before this, 20 years before this. This guy's getting territorial about which seat at the table he sits in, as if it matters. This guy's like, well, the main computer that we call Mother has interrupted our journey, even though we're halfway home. She's programmed to do that if we get a distress call, which we have. We've picked up a transmission, an acoustical beacon that repeats every 12 seconds. Unknown origin. And it's like we all signed a contract to work here. And this guy's like, fuck this shit, man. I'm not some kind of alien, expert. What the fuck? Like, you gonna pay me to do this? Like, this is bullshit. He doesn't even know the contract that he signed. There's a stipulation. He didn't read the fine print, is the gist of things. He doesn't realize he's fucked. He has to help the whole ship. And he goes, just fucking listen to this guy, man. And he goes, any shares in this company that you get as a boon for working for them will be forfeit if you break protocol. It's like, we gotta do this. None of us have any choice. The show must go on. The narrative of the film must go on. We must respond to this signal. God, the dark lighting with the blue, that is so good, man. The aesthetic of this, it's unmatched. You try to replicate it with AI and fake lighting, it just looks like crap. This is all real shit. The computer screen reflecting on her face, that's brilliant. Also, growing up, my great-grandma's house, she had plastic cups. And because of the era this movie was made in, they were using, utensils and dinnerware, cookware, whatever from the time. My great-grandma had the exact same cups, and I'm not exaggerating, they were literally the same. So when I used to go to her place, I'd have juice or water or whatever from those cups, and I felt like I was on the set of Alien, because the cups were exactly the same. It was some fun shit. It was fun. I grew up with cups. There it is, the white cup there, the little plastic cup, probably full of cancer and plasticizers and estrogen and shit, xenoestrogen, but it was just so much fun to drink from those cups, man. It was a blast. I grew up with those, and also with the ceramic bowl from The Shining, when Jack Torrance's wife Wendy is making fruit salad in a tan-colored bowl. That exact bowl is still a part of my family's dinnerware. So I grew up eating from the bowl from The Shining and drinking from the cups from Alien. I wonder why I'm making this review right now. Anyway, I have some epic advanced planetary landing software here. Clearly the ship is running Linux. There's no way they could accurately land on this random moon of Zeta Reticuli if they didn't have the best operating system in the galaxy, which is Linux of some kind, some flavor. This planet kind of looks like Saturn, but it's not. Rings are too faint, too close to the planet. But it has a Saturnian vibe to it. It has a Saturnian aesthetic. And I love this. I love that the simulation of them landing, it has them curving to match their point of landing. And the screen is still oriented the way it was originally when they were approaching, but then the trajectory of the ship is what turns. I love that. And all these real props, these cool ass sets, man. Everything sculpted, molded, real. Good God, this looks so cool, man. This is the coolest looking shit. Real models are unmatched, man. There's no CG or CGI that can surpass them. They're just perfect. They're perfect because the human eye can see their imperfections, and it's the imperfections, it's the markers of realness that are they're what make us attached to these scenes. I mean, they're what show you, yes, this is a real object. It's filmed, with a bunch of trickery to make it look bigger than it is, but it's a real thing. You just can't replicate that. Even if AI gets better, even in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, I don't think AI will be able to match this. I don't think it'll happen. If it is possible, it would take so much computing power and so much money and time thrown at the feet of the AI idol, that golden idol, that it wouldn't be worth it. It's actually cheaper and faster to make a miniature. And people probably appreciate it more. They're probably like, oh, they didn't just use AI. They didn't take the easy route. The outmoded physical media of the past become the fetishes of the future, like vinyl. Vinyl has come back as a niche hipster thing, and even if AI replaces a bunch of human industries, it's not going to replace them. It's just going to reduce the supply and the demand, but it's going to reduce the supply more of artists who are creating things in those media. And it will just mean that those artists are fewer, but they're all making more money because their stuff is going to be in higher demand. Even if it's not actually diminished in its supply, there's going to be a public perception that the supply of those things is diminished. The perception of the supply is what will change first. And a bunch of real people making real things will make real money. That's my prediction. I think that's going to happen. I think it's already happening right now. It's been happening, in fact, for at least a decade or two. So they land on these rocks, and one of the landing gear, it fucks up. The ship is fucking on fire. Again, they're in like a submarine. I mean, this is just so fucking dark and creepy and weird. We still have pressure. Again, even the language, even the dialogue, it's like people on a submarine. So they've damaged their ship just by landing here. They'll have to reroute a bunch of things. Serious problems, serious damage. And this guy's like, 17 hours. And he's like, tell him it's 25 hours. And that's in part because they're lazy, but it's in part because it's like, well, we could actually need 25 hours. I mean, we don't know why he lies there, why he exaggerates the time. I mean, that's a common meme in these types of shows. You know, oh, the repairs will take 4 hours. Tell them it'll take 8, you know. It's like bartering. I mean, it's the same type of thing. He's like, all we can pick up is this transmission, and there he has my epic mug that I drank from when I was a kid. White mug with the little lip around the middle of it. So funny, man. Drinking out of movie props. Crazy. His is straight up labeled there. Yours will be the one with the blue Sharpie mark on it. Kane, your mug is the blue Sharpie mug. That's totally a mistake, but it's funny. We can see the little blue stripe on the lip of the mug. So he's like, this planet, well, you know, it's kind of like primordial Earth. Lots of CO2, lots of nitrogen. Earth's atmosphere is mostly nitrogen. And it's very cold. I love that they're smoking on the ship. God damn, that's good, man. God, I want a fucking cigarette right now. Creepy science officer guy. He's trying to keep warm. He's doing quick jogs, jogging in place, breathing into his hands. Great blocking. Great. It's just great. They come out into this blue hell. It's fucking ice storms and rock and dust fragments flying everywhere. It's like Mars at night, cold and dusty. I love their spacesuits, man. They're not sleek. They're big and bulky, but they're slightly different on the surface. They're still plausible. They're still what they would need to be, which is these sort of bulky things. You need insulation. You can't. The Dragon spacesuits look a little too thin. They don't look plausible anymore. The illusion of space, I think, works best when you have these big bulky suits, like diving suits. It's almost like we're sandwiched in between water, like we're on a dome on a mega planet, a larger planet, underwater. And the stars we see are fake cephaloid Cthulhu light illusions. And we're some kind of experimental creatures kept in a little zoo, a little dome underwater on a much larger planet. Maybe there's no ice wall. Maybe that is the edges of our world. Maybe we're under the dome by Stephen King. You know, maybe the blackness above us and the stars we see are just light shows done by bioluminescent creatures who've convinced us they're angels. There's the real deep lore for you. If you've watched this far, there's my little tidbit for you. There's my little treat for you, puppy. Thanks for watching this far. Thanks for being a patient little dog. I'll give you a treat. Anyway, our epic explorers are soldiering on through the cold blue dark. They're being monitored by HQ, by the busted up ship. You've got straight up binary code on the computers. God, I love the primitive computers, man. It's just, It's better. There was a time when I was like, I'm bothered by the computers and the aesthetic in this. Now I look at it and I go, that's perfect. Because if you were sending a ship into space for long-term deployment, for some kind of long-term mission, you would want the hardest, simplest tech possible. Even if back on Earth they have Apple Vision holograms and all sorts of shit, honestly, if you were a corporation, you'd want to send shit that would not break. You'd want CRT screens. If the ship is built in orbit and it never has to leave Earth's atmosphere, then weight is not an issue. You could have CRT screens. The benefit of those types of things is they have a longevity that other types of tech don't have. Now, this scene, my God, the smoky alien derelict ship. You'll notice it's a U shape. It looks like a uterus. That's intentional. What isn't intentional is it also resembles a structure in the brain that is a horseshoe-shaped structure. The pineal gland is something that I've talked about. It's something I've read random snippets of information about over the years, and I have no idea what is or isn't legitimate medically. I don't even know if the medical stuff is legit. You never know. But the pineal gland is clearly something important. There's another structure, though, that is equally important, according to some occult narratives, and it's this horseshoe-shaped structure that exists kind of at the top of the brain. And it looks a bit like this thing. It's a bit like a halo that's broken at the front, and the pineal gland is the little granule in between the open end of the horseshoe that sort of completes the horseshoe, sort of makes it into a perfect circle, but it doesn't quite do that. So instead of a halo, you would have a U-shape or a C-shaped structure with a little star at the center. It's kind of like the Muslim moon and star flag, but the star, you'd have to move it to where it was in between the prongs of the C-shaped horseshoe thing. That's what I'm trying to talk about. So in any sense, whether it's a uterus or some kind of brain halo, whatever it is, our heroes, our astronauts, are walking into it. And it's crashed. It's fallen. It's a derelict thing. And when they get inside it, hoo boy, is it weird. It's all like melted, infused bones. And this is all real. None of this is CGI. Can you imagine the logistics of just making this set? The way their lights reflect off it. It glistens with this film of sweat, this glaze of, I don't even know, ice crystals or condensation. I mean, it's marvelous. It's like these are the secret Nazi military guys going into the Antarctic ruins of the pre-Younger Dryas civilization. They're finding this. Of all the things they expected to find, this must have been the last thing. Something this weird. They weren't prepared for the weirdness. This guy, Kane, he climbs up and he finds whatever this is. Is it a gun turret? Is it a telescope? It's a fossilized Nephilim. An alien Nephilim of some kind. Looking through some device. And it's huge, man. I mean, the scale of this, it's just marvelous to to just watch. Visually, it's just so good. It's like, well, it looks like he's fused to the chair. Like he's growing out of it. Maybe the chair did grow him. Maybe he's fossilized to it. Who knows? God, and the bones. They still have like a glistening, fatty, gristly film on top of them. I mean, it's just... God, it's so good, man. The detail of it. It's fucking fantastic. He's wearing hockey gloves. Ignore that. Those aren't goalie gloves. Repurposed as astronaut gauntlets. They're definitely a standard issue spacesuit item. So there's a hole in the floor melted through. I love this shot where the commander leaves and we just pan in on the dead Nephilim face going back into the dark. God, that's so good, man. This is so fucking good. I feel like I could bring Lovecraft back to life and just show him this and be like, yeah, I know society is more horrifying than this to you, but watch this movie. He'd probably be like, this is very good. I like this. Thank you for bringing me back. God, the creepy ship. The fact that the towers, the front ends of it are uneven is more unsettling. It's not symmetrical. There must be a reason for the asymmetry. But we don't know what it is. We never get to know that. Yeah, I don't know, maybe they explained it. Alien, Prometheus, or Covenant explained it. Those movies don't exist to me, man. They're so fucking bad. They deserve to be erased from existence. Imagine making like Prometheus or Covenant after this. Trying to compare it to this. The fuck is wrong with you? Look at this scene, man. Look at the size of it. I mean, it's just... How do you beat this? I mean, you can't. You can try. Aliens did a pretty good job. It's 99% of the way there. I think this movie is at 100 out of 100. Aliens, the sequel, it's 99. Alien 3, it's like 49 out of 100. And then Alien Resurrection is negative 99 out of 100. It's so bad, it's almost as good as this. Go watch my review of that. So here we have Cain looking at the weird blue mist covering the eggs. Reacts when broken. Oh, it's interesting. We're at 3333 and he just fell into the egg area. What a funny coincidence numerically. He slips in at 3333 exactly. Isn't that funny? It's so obvious, man. It's pathetic. It's so obvious it loops back around to being something only worthy of ignoring. It's just noise. Numeric noise. God, the design of the eggs. Good God, man. The droplets are going upward. How the fuck did they pull that off? Did they film this upside down? I always ask that question. There's droplets of moisture on the upper part of the egg, and they go upward. How the fuck did they film that? They must have reversed the shot. Must have been dripping down. But it looks like the field, the anti-gravity field, is sucking the water upwards. It's uncanny, and you don't notice it unless you're paying attention. It's very quick, but it's so creepy, man. It's creepier than the creature. The fact that there's this anti-gravity field It's sucking moisture upwards. What the fuck is that? What's doing that? There's so many questions. Logistically, this movie horrifies the instinctual and the logical part of your brain. That's why it's so good. It knows how to horrify both hemispheres of your brain. And here he's been grabbed. We pan out to the uterus ship. He's like a seahorse. He's been impregnated by the female alien ship. On that note, guys, I'm going to have to end the recording here. I'm going to try to do this in 2 parts, but it might be 3. I'm going to end things here at about 35 minutes. Okay, we're at 35, 43, 44, 45, 46. Peace out. Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the Alien Recording with your host, Madman. So, Ripley is just now deciding whether or not to let these guys in, or she's about to decide that. Bishop is at the door. Will he let them in? They're being sort of decontaminated. There's an implication that there's a decontamination process. And they're like, don't worry, we're clean. We have no parasites. And she's like, well, what about Kane? And they're like, it's fine. He's got a nasty parasite directly attached to his face, but he's fine. Don't worry about it. And Ripley's right. She's like, 24 hours for quarantine. And these guys are like, this motherfucker could die. This is an alien thing. We have no knowledge of it. Both sides of the debate have their merits. That's what makes this so tense. And Bishop, this creepy scientist fuck, he lets them in. She's like, no, I'm not going to open the doors. And he even announces it. He's such a ballsy fuck. He's like, in a hatch open. He's committed to protocol. It's almost like he's a robot or something. Isn't that interesting? Now, this could be the best scene in the film. The scene where they extract the helmet, crack it off, and they see the actual thing. The actual representation of all parasites that have ever infected human bodies over the years. This is what is in you now. There are things in your gut that look like this. They're tiny, but they look like this thing. And they are raping you. They are impregnating you with their progeny, their children. They're using your body. They're raping you. You didn't consent to that. Isn't it interesting that consent has become a popular thing these days? And Lambert straight up slaps Ripley. She's like, I'll fucking fight you, bitch. Why did you prevent this guy from coming back? Why'd you delay it? And she's like, 'cause you could all be infected, you morons. This is a nasty-ass thing. On Earth, we have dozens of parasites like this thing. And they're not a threat to us. They're already in us. We don't even know they're there. Very creepy shit that this movie's trafficking in, that it's trying to tell you about. And here's the problem. You try to remove this parasite, it can kill you. Doing a cleanse will release the toxic byproducts and chemicals that the parasite oocytes, or the eggs, have accumulated in your tissues. And they will make you feel shitty, you will have headaches, you will have all sorts of negative symptoms. Unless you're some kind of angelic uber chad like me, who was sent here with a rote genetic immunity to being infected by these things. But that's not most of you. That's just me. I'm just too epic to be affected by these things. I'm here to tell you about them. That's why I exist. But anyway, enough with that crap. Basically, this guy's horribly infected. He's got a parasite that none of our characters understand. With all their technology, all they can do is figure out what the parasite is doing medically, because medical technology is all about processes. It's about what is this thing doing. That's a good thing. That can reveal a lot of truth to you. But understanding the process of an infection doesn't necessarily give you the way of negating it. It's feeding him oxygen. It's actually prolonging his life. It's almost like life on Earth is like an addiction to oxygen. It's like we're all here because the Earth parasite, the Uber parasite, the Ur parasite, you might say, of life on Earth, the demiurge, has addicted us all to breathing oxygen. There's a red pill for you. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So they're like, okay, we can't remove this thing with tongs or it's going to try to kill the guy. Let's try to cut it off of him. As soon as they do, it burns a hole through their ship. The acid is so strong, it eats through several decks. That's nuts. That's insane. It's melting metal. They gotta go down again? God damn. The unknowns of the world. Learning what parasites are capable of. If you try to defend against them, you try to cleanse yourself, they will fuck you. They will punish you. They will rape you. With acid. They will burn you. Ancient societies characterized parasitic infections as demonic possession, and that characterization doesn't just hold up metaphorically, it holds up scientifically. That's what's creepy about it. If you've got a bunch of parasites and you try to get rid of them quickly, you will experience a lot of pain. You will suffer. It's almost like religious suffering is a metaphor for parasite cleansing. It's almost like most religions are scientific and medical journals and procedures disguised as religious practices because people are so fucking stupid that they can't eat some wormwood. People are that dumb. And when they experience negative effects, they're like, oh, I'm suffering again. Yeah, but wait a week. Wait a day. Experience the elevation of your mental state. The benefits. It takes some suffering to cleanse yourself. That's always been true. It always will be true. You know, he's like, we shouldn't have landed on this damn ball in the first place. Arguably, he's right. I mean, if you'd never been here in the first place, you wouldn't have to deal with any of the crap of being here. The biocontamination of a new world. You know, whether you're a vampiro-toothless squid trying to crawl your way out of the sea, or you're an angel who's fallen from quote-unquote heaven, which is actually hell, you know, you're here. You're with us now. Have fun cleansing yourself. If you don't do it, you're a slave to one organism or another, even to the very body that you're in. You know, it won't obey you if you don't cleanse yourself. It's the message of this movie. It's a very creepy, occult, fringe, conspiracy type of message. I don't want to advocate that it's the gospel truth, but this movie summons up a lot of very strange associations. And it does so in a way that is so precise and so consistent that it is consistently compelling. It's part of the reason it's survived in terms of media that receives accolades for its structure. Its structure is very good. now Ripley's kind of fucking with the doctor character. She's like, why did you open the door? Why did you break open the language door and let the language virus infect everybody's brains? That's a bit extreme, my dude. You've made a judgment that affects all of us, and you didn't consult me or anybody else. And he's going, well, this thing replaced itself with silicon, almost like it's trying to become a computer, almost like computers are demonic mazes. And the logo above the screen, pay attention to it. It's just to the top right of our scientist Bishop character. That is an Egyptian logo. The circle in the center represents the pineal gland, and there's two wings branching out from it, to the left and to the right. Very interesting symbol. Intentional. That blue symbol. Interesting that it's blue as well. I wonder what that color could symbolize. It's got my noggin jogging, guys. That's probably just me, though. I'm just nuts. Who knows what I know? And so the doctor is telling Ripley this risk was worth taking. We've got to encounter this parasite in order to understand it. We have to confront evil and, in fact, become infected by it in order to fight it. And Ripley doesn't know any of this. He says, just do your job, Just follow my orders. And she goes, I don't know, man. Maybe you're being a bit Icarian. You're being a bit like Icarus. You're flying a bit too close to the sun. Then we see him drinking a swig of white juice there. That's important. This movie's very well constructed, man. You watch it a second or a third time, you're going to appreciate things you didn't notice the first time. It's very fucking good. So now there's an alert from the infirmary. Something's happened with Kane. The parasite has finished raping him and has left. And now he's just lying there. Like an undead vampire who's been infected with worms. The infecting force is done with him. And they're not sure how to interpret it. Rightly so, they're quite suspicious. They're like, holy shit. Why would this thing leave? It's almost like this guy's been converted into a biological bomb. And the real infection, the real virus, the real parasite is some set of ideas that he's been infected with. If you're a communist, it's capitalist ideas. If you're a capitalist, it's communist ideas. It's all the same crap. He's been infected with some kind of mind virus, if you want to take things to a sort of existential linguistic level. But in the movie's context, it's just biological. And that's bad enough, because there are biological things that will fuck with you, that really exist. They're all looking for it. They're being careful. He's got this little light stick. God, the aesthetic of this, it's so Fallout, man. I've been playing Fallout 76. So everything in this is like, I'm reminded of it. It's like, I'm making associations in my head. But it's great, because it works. Like this could take place in the Fallout universe. These people could be on a ship that left before the bombs fell in the 2070s. And this is their lot in life, is to exist on this ship and deal with the horrors that they've stumbled upon. Our scientist is like, well, I've got a specimen tray. It's at the ready. I just want to dissect this thing. I want to know more about it. I'm demonic. I just want more knowledge at any cost. God, when he pokes the thing into the corner. And it's a great bait and switch, because Ripley is the one who finds the thing. The woman is the one who bites the apple. She finds the creepy alien corpse. And my God, this thing. My God, the design of it. We've got to have a greater look at this. Oh, God. This is the female vagina, the creepiest thing ever created by the demiurge. It prompts you to pump your semen into it and create more genetically unviable pseudo-clone nightmare creatures. It's very insidious. It tempts you to think that breeding will save you. But it's just another path to another realm of hell. The real red pill is to be celibate, to not breed with anything, to die out. It's easier to escape if you don't have a genetic anchor here in hell, keeping you here, convincing you to be its sire. I gotta agree with the Gnostics, man. This, at least in this movie's context, it's very Gnostic. It's very much, don't kill yourself physically, personally, but refrain from breeding, because you're just being a breeder of sinners, as Hamlet would put it. You're perpetuating the cycle of insanity and hell by producing more vessels for insane beings to end up here. Maybe the realm or the dimension that produced those insane beings should be held accountable for sloughing off its rejects on us. What the fuck did we do to deserve that? Just annihilate us in your own dimension before we even have a chance to be here. Why the fuck would you give us this carnival of hell? Kill us instead. That's the more humane option. Why would you consign us to being on this ship, going to this planet, encountering these parasites? The fuck's the point? If we asked for this, we were wrong, and we were naive, and you took advantage of our naivety by granting us what we want, didn't you? If you thought you were being benevolent, you weren't. You were doing the opposite. A parent doesn't give its child everything it wants. That's not benevolency. That's not clemency. That's abuse. It's just another form of it. Anyway, they managed to take off. Thankfully, their landing gear is fucked, but they're like, who cares? We gotta get out of here. We're already infected. And they're all so happy to be gone, man. Oh, we're back in space. Yeah, you're isolated. Good job. And everybody recommending to freeze him is correct. They should have done that, but they don't do it. They're too sympathetic to him. He's a member of their crew. This guy's like, we're all going to have to go into COVID quarantine because we got an alien virus infecting us. The fucking vertical bins of cereal. The slop. And she's like, rather than me describing to you what's happened to him, it's better if you just come see him. He's awake. He's been infected. And he's woken up. This poor motherfucker, man. It's like he drank from the Ganges. Enjoy the parasites, my friend. There's maggots living in your gut forever. Hell of a fate to wake up to. Straight up, I didn't know that until recently, that maggots can actually survive in your guts forever. They only eat dead flesh, but, you know, if you're a meat eater, they'll live on. You have eternal dysentery. Enjoy shitting 5 times a day. What a fucking nightmare that is. God damn. Whatever we have to do to destroy the parasites, I don't even care anymore. You know? Give everybody, infect everybody with nanobots, I don't care. I just want them to be dead forever. It's too much, man. They're all happily eating. They don't know this guy's about to explode. This is the scene, man. This is the one that really fucked with people. And it should have. It was supposed to in the 70s. It was a hell of a thing because the actors didn't even know this was happening. This was done intentionally. So everybody is improving when Kane starts to seize up, when the parasite starts to emerge, when the worm crawls out of his ass. It's done more tastefully in this. It crawls out of his chest, but it's the same thing. And they think he's choking. Our science officer just coldly watches, slides out of the blast zone. And this was pig blood that they used. Interesting that they used that. This guy's like, bite this spoon, you're having a seizure, something's going on. Don't bite your tongue off, man. We can't graft that back onto you. Good God, man. Crazy shit. Good God. Good God, man, this scene. This penis-shaped parasite, this Vampiroteuthis infernalis sex parasite, rapes its way out of his own chest, runs away. Man, oh man. His fucking Tommy Bahama shirt. Jesus Christ. Oh boy. The turning point of the film. They're all trying to find it. Good luck. It's tiny right now. It's like an oocyte in your tissues, your liver, your kidneys, your bowels. In real life. That's how crafty it is. That's how well it hides. And of course, they take a moment to give Kane a funeral. It's a good thing. Maintain the ritual. They jettison his body. Poor bastard. Poor motherfucker. Guys, I'm gonna have to cut this recording short. We're at, where are we at? "58 minutes. Let's wait till an hour. That's a good time to cut things off. They're going over their ordnance. Very epic. He's like, don't put your hand on the end of the flamethrower or of the electrical cattle prod. That's a bad idea. Good advice. A bit remedial, but, you know, necessary. And again, this creepy science dude, it's like he just wants to track the thing to capture it. He just wants to get it. Just wants to know more about it. Wants the knowledge. He's demonstrating the motion cap of the thing. I love that. I love that they do that. Anyway, guys, we're at 1 hour, 2 seconds here. I'm going to end things. Thank you for watching. I will be back soon. We're at 1 hour, 10 seconds, 11, 12, 13. Peace out. Hey again, guys. I am back. We are back with Alien. So, they're trying to plan at this point how they're going to go at this thing, how they're going to cleanse themselves of parasites. It's a group effort. It takes a lot of planning. Everybody has to agree. Usually they don't. So the effort ends up half-assed and a lot of people die. Very dangerous thing. So Ripley's got this giant light. They're in the dark-ass industrial corridors. Copyright James Cameron. Very cool aesthetic, man. I mean, I have to say, the H.R. Giger stuff almost isn't necessary because if you just have sets that are this detailed and this cool, they're creepy enough. I mean, you're in the guts of the machine. I mean, it's creepy enough. I mean, look at these sets, man. Look at how much detail there is in just that little buggy object there. Like, everything is so fucking saturated with human effort. I mean, so much has been done to produce an aesthetic, to make it consistent, to add all these little greebles and details everywhere. I mean, God, the amount of effort put into this. The same way you put effort into people's costumes, you know, you put effort into the sets. Because the set is its own sort of non-human character. It's a space that your characters are wandering around in. I mean, it's just, man, it's fucking good. They've got the motion trackers. Something's within 5 meters. Fucking hell, man. Trying to scan every part of the ship. They're being very careful. They're being smart. They're in big teams. I mean, they're like, holy shit, we have movement in the closet. That's where it is. It's hiding in the closet like it's gay or something. Let's get it out of there. They've got a net. As if that's going to contain a acid-spitting thing. But it's best thing they got. You know, they're throwing this shit together at the last minute. They're fucking scared. And it turns out it's just a cat. The only parasite it has is toxoplasmosis, which we all already have. That's fine. We already know that. And it's like, well, we do have to get the cat, because if we pick it up as a false positive again, we're wasting time, we're making ourselves vulnerable. So they tell Brett, go get the cat. It's almost like the cat parasites are a false positive. Toxoplasmosis isn't actually the real parasite. It's almost like the real parasite is bad ideas. The physical parasites, maybe they don't do anything. Maybe that's a red herring. Maybe the real parasites are just ideas, bad ways of living, evil ways of living. Isn't that interesting? God, and the amber, the brown and amber aesthetic of this machine room. I mean, my God, it looks good. This jacket says Nostromo on it. I never noticed that till now. This is probably the best scene in the movie. It's just a man looking for a cat. All these complicated dripping machines. I mean, this is just so good. All the condensation on shit. And he finds the cat, but oh, you didn't offer the cat your hand, buddy. You gotta pretend you're giving it a treat, then it'll be okay. And he finds this snakeskin-like goopy thing in the grates. It's an insectoid thing. Lizards and the cats aren't the real enemies, man. The Lyrans and the reptoids, they're not the real enemies. The real enemies are the insectoids and the machines. It's like Helldivers. I bought that game and I haven't played it yet. I don't know. I'm putting it off because I know I'm going to be inexperienced. I'm going to suck ass at playing it for like the first 2 hours. It's just, tired of learning new things. I'm getting old, so learning new things takes like 10 times the effort. It's just, it's how it goes. So there's all these hanging chains for lifting up heavy machinery, you know, very plausible environment, accurate, a little bit rusted up and fucked up, but it's a mining ship, you know, it's a dirty ass, heavy metals everywhere, dust, rocks, that kind of shit. The environment is thematically correct, and the narrative has already established this. It's a mining ship with like the lowest tier of astronauts possible. These guys are the janitors of outer space. And he's like, I'm so hot, man. I'm so fucking... And then we see a weird shape up here. What could this be? Something up there. What is that? We don't know. It kind of looks industrial. It looks like a piece of machinery just hanging out up there. A very quick shot. I didn't notice that till I'd watched this movie like 3 or 4 times. And then I was like, holy fuck. I know what that is. And that's what's so great about this. This movie's subtext is that you're infected with parasites, and they blend in. They hide in your tissues. The eggs, the oocytes, will hide in your liver, your kidneys, and other parts of your body, your GI tract, primarily. And they look like normal things. They look like part of the machine. Until they wake up. And this poor cat can sense it. It's not afraid of Burke here, or whatever his name is. It's this thing. My God. The cat's eyes. It just snatches him up. It's like, you're going to be the protein I need to make more of myself. And the water dripping down becomes blood. My God, man. Brett is dead. This scene, too. This is so fucking good, man. The extreme close-up, and he's like, whatever it was big. It was like a man. Like a human being infected with parasites is as threatening as that thing with 2 mouths. Tapeworms coming out of its mouth. That's the threat. That's the real thing. And they're trying to be logical. They're trying to keep their head. They're trying to be like, okay, there's an airlock this thing must be using to move. If we can cut it off, we can kill it. If it's in the GI tract, we just have to eat some wormwood. We'll be fine. And the guy goes, no, this thing was a person. And this doctor, this creepy robot guy is like, well, this thing's really good at adapting to the human body. It's almost like the machines want to unite with the parasites because the parasites have a good model of existence. They adapt very well to the human immune system. They're able to control us very effectively. And the AIs, the machines, are all about efficiency. What's the most efficient thing to do? Probably to control an existing meat being. That's probably the most efficient path for a creature like that, an entity like that. The machines and the insects and the parasites are the enemies. Even the lizards, even the snakes are the good guys. They're low down. They're not as low as the parasites, the insects, and the machines. Those things are the real evils of this world. At least in this version of the game we're all playing. Don't fear the snakes. Don't fear the lizards. Don't fear the dinosaurs. They're on our side. They don't like the parasites any more than we do. They fight differently and they're very weird and creepy, and they've killed us in the past, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Metaphorically speaking, your lizard brain is good. You can use it to fight the parasites and the insects and the machines. So this movie is saying to me metaphorically, guys. We've got a guy staring down an anus hatch here. He's like, well, I hope this person used PrEP because I'm about to climb into their ass and be vored. Ooh, here he goes. He's logging into Fur Affinity. My God, the horrors he's about to see. He may have his ape ook monkey torch, but will it be enough? Will the lizards still accept him? So dramatic. Sigourney Weaver is looking after him as he goes into the anus. Now he's in the bowels of the machine. Oh, yes. Oh, the anal apertures are closing. Oh, they're clenching. Man, oh man, this poor guy. He's like Theseus in the labyrinth of the Minotaur. It's a metaphor for your guts. If you go in there and try to find every parasite, you're never going to succeed. The trick is not to try to kill all of them because they just keep coming back. The trick is to learn to resist them even though they're in you. Because you're never going to be able to cleanse yourself of all of them. And if you consign yourself to a robot body, you know, oh, I don't have to eat. I don't have to have sexual urges. I don't have to have parasites. You're just under the control of a much worse mechanized, digitized entity that is inherently parasitic because it wants to take control of you and utilize you in its grand plan. Be an individual to the end. Be you. Have a soul. All these movies and all their weird occult potential interpretations, all the symbolism that's in them, that's what it's really trying to say to you is don't give in to some creepy group that's promising you something. And the irony is all these cults have these small groups they've formed, you know, and again, I'm not going to disparage them. Maybe they're good people, but I don't know, you know. Skepticism's allowed me to survive this far and keep my sanity. I'm going to go ahead and defer to that. I'm not going to start performing weird rituals for people. Even if they mean nothing, you know. I'm naive enough, I might interpret them in the wrong way. They might mean more to me than they're supposed to. So I have to avoid them. For now. Good God, they can see the thing coming to him. Fuck, man. This is so good. Oh, hug me, my little friend. The hug of death. Ooh. I love it. This actor, this black guy, he is excellent in this, man. We found this lying there. No blood, no Dallas, nothing. His anger is so real. He's so good, man. Damn. He just owns it. He's in it. He's in the story. Fan-fucking-tastic actor, man. And same with Lambert here. This woman, she's like fucking unhinged. She's having a next level panic attack. Look at her face, man. The performances, the emoting. I mean, it's just amazing, man. Ripley is like borderline psychotic because she's calm. She's not calm internally, but she's able to produce a facade of it, and that makes her kind of creepy in this, man. Like any leader. She tells the guy, shut the fuck up. And we have this robotic guy blurred in the background, out of focus. Ripley is using the part of her brain that is similar to this creepy guy, but she's able to maintain her humanity while she utilizes her logic brain. Her logic brain doesn't turn her into a unethical, inhuman psychopath. She uses it for survival. That's the correct way to use it. The blocking in this scene is so good. How Ash is in the background behind her. And it's funny his name is Ash. You know, Phoenix rises from ash. Ashes to ashes. Some associations floating around that term that are worth considering in the context of this movie. And she goes, oh, you're still calculating. How fun. Can you actually save our lives? Or are you just bullshitting us? Oh, we get this... This guy is like a fucking vampire, man. Look at his face. I've got access to Mother now, and I'll get my own answers, she says. And he goes, well, all right. Go ahead and get your answers. Get your knowledge. Poor Lambert, look at her blue eyes. God damn. This poor woman. Her performance in that series of scenes is like, it's just 10 out of 10. Finally, Ripley's like, I'm done with this bullshit. I need clarification. I need information. I need answers. She's playing Fallout. She's logging into an old derelict computer to find the quest object. Ah, yes. Type it all in, my dear. And she's like, I'll give this a question that will tell me more than I've actually asked, literally. It will open up. Oh. Science officer eyes only. So only Ash can see this. She already suspects. She's about to fucking cry. She's like, how could they do this to us? How could they make us this expendable? How could they treat us like clones, like drones? This is heinous. And there's Ash, right next to her. God damn! It's like the alien showing up. Fucking hell, man. It's creepier than the alien. Jesus Christ, man. This cold motherfucker. She calls him right away, but something's wrong with the communications. Holy shit. He's locked her out. God damn, man. Oh, God, look at his face. He's more evil than the fucking aliens, man. Or he's as evil. The machine. He's a mechanized version of the alien. They're on the same fucking team. He's sweating cum. My only mission is to go back to Earth and extract more cum. Then I can use it to make more clone machine people like me. I'm an evil prick. My only mission is to rape you. Basically, that's what he's doing in this scene, man. He throws her around. He's using his robot strength, his Blade Runner strength. This movie predates Blade Runner, but goddamn, it could exist in the same universe. This ship and this whole narrative could exist in the Blade Runner universe, and it would fit. You know, it's very accommodating to that kind of headcanon. You know, you could imagine that this takes place in the Blade Runner universe. They're in the bunker of the guy who likes porn, so he's got like Playboy shit. This robot, this psychotic fuck, he sees all these images and he just goes, oh, how about I put a fake cock in your mouth and kill you with it? How about I roll up a magazine and suffocate you with it? Like some Hugh Hefner whore that was too mouthy. And in the dark tunnels beneath the Hugh Hefner mansion, maybe dozens of women have had this treatment. Been killed for rebelling against their enslavement. And he tries to grab Brad. He fucking makes scars on the guy's peck. He fucking grabs him so hard he breaks the skin. Finally, they start beating him with fucking fire hydrants and shit, and he just goes ape shit. You know, again, this movie is so fucked. God, that scene where they fuck his head up. God damn, man. This is so good, man. Fucking hell. People, okay, I have to say something. Jurassic Park, I never liked that movie. I never liked it. I never thought it was impressive. This is impressive, okay? Jurassic Park, oh, the T-Rex, in the rain, they used the bad CGI and they made it look better because of smoke and blah, blah. I was never scared of it. It never bothered me. It never seemed real. This is 10,000 times better than that shit. Fuck Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park seemed corny to me when I was a kid. I watched the VHS of that when I was like 6 or 7. And I was bored. I hated it. I was like, this is dumb. This is boring. I don't care about the characters. None of their struggles seem like they have any weight to me. I don't give a shit. I don't care about the visuals that are so epic and interesting. And in subsequent years, I've heard nothing but critical praise for that. That's pure nostalgia, man. Did you ever see this when you were a kid? This is good special effects. The only thing in this that sucks is the cut when they're trying to place his head on the table. And there's a very awkward cut where the color timing or whatever the fuck it's called. This cut, it changes. The color temperature of the scene changes awkwardly. That could be fixed easily. But it hasn't been, so it's obvious. That's annoying to me, because this scene and the scenes that precede it are so fucking good. You know, they deserve better than this. This movie is so much more impressive than fucking Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is ironically just as trivial and surface level and theme park ride-ish as the parody that it tries to establish. The actual product itself, the actual movie, is pathetically, to me anyway, uninteresting. It doesn't prompt me to think in any sort of way differently about what I've absorbed in my senses. It doesn't give me any sort of insight into the nature of reality. It doesn't do anything to me that is in any way interesting, even on a very basic level. This movie does that. So, let's rubber band back to the movie. Ash is like, you're dealing with something that is very creepy. It is an alien organism that has only made its way to you because it has adapted so perfectly to this reality. It is a demon. It is a Lovecraftian thing that only exists to dominate you. It has no other purpose, has no conscience, no remorse. It is a surviving organism. you are some sort of inferior genetic effluent to it. It has no desire to even consider you to be sentient. And he's like, you guys are fucked. He's like, you have my sympathies. And he's fucking with them. He's being the Joker. And they rip his head out. God damn, man. Poor Lambert, man. He fucking lifts her up. Her character in this, so well done. Again, contrast this with my review of Alien Resurrection, how bad it is. I mean, this is the standard that was set, and you could exceed it. There's ways to actually develop these characters better. There's a way to use the time to make the black guy and to make, any character, any of them, you could develop them better in a shorter amount of time. All it takes is a good writer, like me. All it takes is someone who actually knows how to do this shit. But if the system that I would have to participate in is a fucking cesspool, I'd rather not write anything. Rather not do anything. I'd rather it all burn and rot. There's enough old stuff that's good. Going back to the 1920s and 30s. I mean, there's literally a century of media that's good enough that we don't have to make anything new, Let the AI make slop for the goys. Let it do that. Why do I even have to do anything? Unless the goys reject it, unless they're smarter than you think they are, wouldn't that be a funny twist? Even with all the fluoride and all the corn syrup, what if they're actually still smarter? What if genetics, especially European genetics, can adapt to mind-raping substances like sugar and alcohol and fluoride? What if people aren't as dumb as you think they are? What if assuming people are stupid is an arrogant, unattached type of assumption? Wouldn't that be an interesting twist? Wouldn't that be fun to witness? People making that assumption, suddenly falling prey to a contingency of people who actually weren't as dumb as you thought they were. Not much frightens the uppers. Like the proles revolting. And they don't revolt the way you'd expect. That's the creepy part. They're smart enough to revolt in other ways. We've all read 1984. We know what not to do. That book was a primer that empowers us. Doesn't demoralize, it empowers. It shows us what not to do. Orwell, I think, in the future will be lauded as a saint because he gave people like Prometheus, Lucifer, or Christ, he gave them knowledge about what was being done to them. And those methods don't change. Now that we know them, you can't undo the distribution of that knowledge. The game's changed forever. You can't use tactics from 200 years ago and expect them to work. Even from 10 years ago. At this point it's just a show. And some people don't know what role they're playing. Some people do, some people don't. It's a very interesting time to be alive right now in the 2020s. You're watching certain actors perform, and they're just waiting for the outcome of their performance. And then you're watching other actors thinking that they're either rebelling or sustaining their position, and they've already been fucked, and they don't know it. They don't see it. but their performance of their endurance has already been factored into the system. So they're just kind of coasting. Like it's, you know, pick a person in your mind, you know, your judgment or your instinct about what their role is and what they're meant to do or be is probably more accurate than anything you've been told. That's why this time period is so fascinating, because you're going to see a lot of people rise and fall rapidly, and there'll be all sorts of excuses made, and they'll be very obviously fake because it's all just cope, you know. People are rising and falling all the time and changing roles, and the people who weren't ready to do it are the institutions that control people that weren't ready for the change of roles. Their unreadiness is going to be very obvious and very embarrassing, very humiliating. It's almost like because they consigned themselves to humiliation rather than honor, they are now being raped by humiliation. It's almost like honor never dies. It just sleeps. And when it wakes up, all the humiliation fetishists are purged. God, the jowls of this thing, man. The design of it. God, H.R. Giger, man, he was nuts. He was fucking half possessed. He did a damn good job making use of his creepy ass brain. He did something good with it. Good man. Oh God, the tail goes right up her ass. Ooh. Guys, I don't think she consented to that. Hashtag cancel alien for lack of consent to alien anal tail rape. So Ripley is alone. She's looking for Parker. Again, we're watching the director's cut. There's a stupid scene with him glued to a wall that I think we're actually going to see in this, if you're watching the same scene. Maybe not. Okay, she just sees the dead guy. Okay, all right. There's a dumb scene where he goes, "Kill me," and Cameron, I mean, he must have seen it and stolen that, but it only really works in Aliens, because in this narrative, the alien that's on the ship is not a queen, it's just a drone. That's what's so scary about it. Just a fucking ant drone can do this. Just a parasite drone can fuck up a whole group of people, a whole culture, a whole cult, a whole group. One parasite can rape you all and you won't even be aware of it. God, Ripley's face, man. She's so scared. This is like some Doom Eternal shit. That's what this reminds me of. The Doom Eternal guys, when they were designing the keypads and shit. I mean, man, this is... Oh, God, man. Her drenched, curly black hair. Man, oh man. It's like a rogue Bene Gesserit trying to blow up a genetic line. Like, this one's too affected by parasites. We gotta kill it. Man, oh man. This scene, of course, was aped and ripped off in multiple movies, alien movies and other movies. This became a trope in science fiction, the sort of, you know, blowing up the ship and having to run out of it. It's a very Metroid-esque scene, which of course isn't a surprise. I mean, Metroid would have been an inspiration to the people making this movie because they probably played it. The original NES, the original Nintendo Entertainment System, had a game called Metroid. It was the original one, and there's a There's a sort of timing aspect to it. The Super Nintendo version is better known for that, where you have to escape the facility before it blows up. But that, I think, came out after this. I think that was 88 or 89. I'm not sure. The point is that all these different narratives kind of came about at the same time. Now, if you're watching the director's cut like I am, you're going to see Kane gooped up in the wall. I was right. We are watching this version. Okay. So I'm sorry to anybody whose version of my commentary is totally off track. But because this is director's cut, she's seeing him gooped up in the wall with all the other characters. Brett is there. The H.R. Giger goop. God, this looks way worse than the shit in Aliens, man. Their flesh is melting off. God damn. And he tells her, just kill me. I'm infected. Just kill me. Let me respawn. This is horrifying. This is fucked. She burns him. God damn, man. This gives Aliens a lot more weight. I can see why they put this scene back into this version. Because, my God, they filmed this in 79. You know, the aliens cocoon them up. And we don't know that they're infected. That the lore of them being turned into impregnated people is only implied. It's not explicitly stated. We don't know that they're infected. Ripley does not know that. The point is that, you know, the guy asks her, give me Canadian-assisted suicide, and she just does it, you know. She must be Canadian, guys. This whole movie is actually a prescient political justification for the Canadian assisted suicide system. It's not like assisted suicide has been a thing in Scandinavia 10 years before the Canadians implemented it. It's not like it's already been a thing and nobody cared. It's only because another country adopted it and the US sensationalist media blew it up into some kind of insane thing. If you're dying of colon cancer, let me tell you, I had a relative who died of that. That person may not have chosen the option to die, but at least they would have had the option. If you're dying and your medical system is oppressing you by trying to keep you alive at all costs, everybody's an idealistic political talking point, talking head when they're not in the situation that they're opposing or promoting. Same thing's true of abortion. It's almost like it's all nonsense. And if you haven't been in the situation subjectively, you are not going to have any fucking... You have no fucking ability or legitimacy to criticize or support something if you haven't experienced it, man. I'm sorry. You know? If you're a gun owner and you've defended your family by killing a robber or a rapist or whatever, then you have legitimacy to support gun ownership. If you're a woman who's been raped and you want to have an abortion, you have legitimacy to contribute to that argument. If you're a person dying of a painful cancer that's untreatable and will not be treatable within the time frame that you have to live, then you have legitimacy to argue for assisted suicide. It's almost like these arguments are very obvious. It's not rocket science to create a society that just caters to multiple people's viewpoints, experiences, etc. That's not difficult to create. The only people opposing it are ignorant retards who've lived in the woods their whole life and have no experience with anything. If you're not Ripley trying to escape a ship that's about to destroy itself, you have no legitimacy in the political argument of, should ships have a self-destruct or not? Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe the company doesn't want their epic ship to be destroyed. And that's the problem Ripley is now fighting. The ship, the self-destruct, has failed. So now she's forced to run to the escape pod. Because the self-destruct has glitched out. It has failed. It has refused her commands. The body she's in has refused to eat a bunch of wormwood and have diarrhea for 2 days. So now she has to confront the parasite manually. God, the flashing lights in this. Don't watch this if you have seizures. I'm telling you this an hour and a half too late. but don't. It's very flashy. Holy shit. Woo! She's reduced to ook ook grug grug Cro-Magnon stages, man. She's running around in the dark with a torch. She's playing Rust. Guys, Ripley is playing Minecraft. This is her first night. Can she survive? And oh, she finds the kitty. She's like, maybe toxoplasma is beneficial. Maybe it makes women more cautious and men more risk-friendly. That's actually something toxoplasmosis infection will do, is it makes male hosts more comfortable with taking risks, and it makes female hosts more comfortable or more uncomfortable with risk, more comfortable with avoiding it. Interesting. Cats and dogs, man. There are parasitic bros. But there's other parasites that we don't know about, we don't talk about. We don't talk about any of them in our culture in the West. I think any culture's talked about them. My view is blow the lid off of it and let's fucking talk about all this. Let's study it. If people aren't ready to hear that, I mean, my God, you know, people are so stupid. If they're not ready to hear that, even after all this conditioning, we've been conditioning them for what, 70 years now? For fuck's sake. Isn't that enough? Christ. Just tell them. Tell them that there's certain parasitic infections that provide certain benefits and certain drawbacks, and if you're too weak to them, you should avoid them. If you're not, you have a choice to make. And then tell people, well, there's other parasitic infections that are very dangerous and almost nobody can handle them. You know? There's certain parasites that worm their way into your eye and make you want to drink blood. There's others that come from cats. There's others that come from dogs. They affect you as a human, as a host, as a body that is tuned into the signal that's giving you consciousness, you know? I don't know. I don't know about any of that. Again, guys, this movie is making me think about these things. This movie is directly summoning up these ideas in my head. I haven't drawn them from any other source. Just from this film. This film specifically has made me think of all these things. Poor Ripley. She knew too much. She blew up her own ship. She seppuku'd herself. Now, finally, in the purple glow, has everything been defeated? Is it finally over? She's like, I finally cleansed myself. I took wormwood, absinthe, and black walnut. I shat for 6 days. But now I'm finally clean. But this movie, man. The wall of her shuttle. The first time I noticed this as a kid, I was amazed. I was like, oh, so this is how subtle they are. This is how careful they are. Well, I'll just have to be 10 times as careful. I'll just have to do what needs to be done. Fractal irony, fractal lying, whatever. She's like, you little toxoplasm, you've been good for me. You're an okay parasite. You're an ally. Kind of like the queer ally thing. Isn't that interesting? It's almost like certain parasites might make you gay, but they're not evil. Maybe they're actually useful as a defense mechanism against parasites that make you into a sadistic freak, a blood drinker, a vampire. maybe there's lower parasites that might, in certain contexts, if you're resistant to them enough, become allies. Now she's making herself vulnerable. She's stripping down. There's a pornographic interpretation to this, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what the movie wanted to communicate. What it's saying is, she thinks she's won. She thinks she's killed all the parasites. She's done all the cleanses that her grandma told her to do. And look at the greebles behind her. Look at the tubes. The machine. She leans in to adjust some setting. And it's so perfect. It's so hidden. The worms, the oocytes, the parasites have hidden so carefully until she gets right up next to them. My God, man. No movie can match this. The alien's head being smooth and blue-black, hidden against the tubes. That is some masterful shit. The set design and the lighting, everything that had to be calibrated to make this scene possible. Because there's a guy in that suit. There's a really thin black guy. I forget his name. Excellent actor. Excellent performer. He's in that suit. They had to fucking bury him in the wall of the set for this to work. I mean, God damn. Oh, it's so good, man. This really is the best of the Alien movies, man. Aliens is great. This one, it beats it. It does. Just watch it once a year, once every 2 or 3 years, and you'll get it. You'll feel it. It's got that 70s bush, goddamn. It's got a landing strip. It's more than that. It's like a landing forest. Guys, I'll say it. I could land at Ripley's landing strip. It would be very epic. But I wouldn't do what this alien wants to do to her, which is some very heinous shit. Some non-consensual shit. I'm not into non-con. I'm not into that. Not in any way, shape, or form. I would kill this alien myself, straight up. She puts on the spacesuit. She's so calm. She's like, I'm going to put on my female condom, but I'm not even going to fuck this thing. I'm going to blow it the fuck out. This is like this whole scene here, or this series of scenes, it's like a metaphor for the worst date you can imagine, where you come across some freakish guy, and you're like, how do I eject this dude from my life? Well, I'll armor myself up, and then I'll blow him out of the airlock. And she starts singing at one point. I love it. She starts singing to try to bolster her courage. It's fucking great. It's so good. It's writhing around in the walls. I'm in your walls. She's singing to herself, singing a lullaby to help her go to sleep in the presence of nightmares, in the presence of demons. So I will sing myself to sleep, and in doing so, I will kill you. By calming myself, I kill my demons. Perfect. Beautiful. Brilliant. And she's talking about a lucky star. Isn't that interesting? Like the North Star. Funny that's the song they picked. My lucky star. My St. Patrick's Day star. Oh, I'm a lucky star, me love. Just watch me videos and like and subscribe and you'll be saved by the epic leprechaun. The lucky star. So she blasts it with liquid nitrogen or some kind of chemical, which is of course aped and ripped off by Alien Resurrection. Because the producers were like, well, doesn't Ripley hit the alien with, like, some kind of gas? So we'll just do it in this, and we'll just repeat it. It's like, there's no context to that. Ripley's doing whatever she has at her disposal to distract and move this thing around the cabin to get it towards the airlock. That's the context of this. She waits until the thing climbs out of the walls enough. She waits till the parasite climbs out, and then she says, I just drank a small spoonful of turpentine laced with melted sugar, which is an ancient wives' tale remedy that will not harm your organs at all, but will blast parasites out of you and gain you 20 IQ points if you do it. If you eat a small, and I'm talking about real turpentine. There's articles you can find that attest to this. Real actual turpentine, as in a terpene, which is in weed, and weed kills parasites because it has terpenes in it. Turpentine is a compound found in wood, which is found in multiple plants, obviously, because they're made of wood. The reason that it's in there is because there are parasites, worms, insects, aliens that try to suck nutrients out of trees and plants, and trees and plants are older than people, and trees and plants have developed defense mechanisms to kill parasites. They have turpentine. Turpentine is good for you. In large amounts, it'll make you sick and poison you and kill you. In small amounts, mix it with sugar. You tempt the parasites out of you, and you'll see the benefit within an hour or two. Your mind, your brain will thank you. That's what this movie is really saying, guys. That's what this movie summons up in me. That's why I wanted to do a commentary on it. Because it reminds me of these weird, creepy, false, insane schizo theories that I've heard that have no legitimacy or value, and you shouldn't actually believe anything that they're saying. They're all nonsense. They're all bullshit. They're all stupid. And I'm also insane. I should be in a padded room. I should be being fed baby food and porridge through a straw. I'm a complete retard, idiot, poo-poo baby. I should be shot in the head. That's my disclaimer for this video. Anyway, guys, with that out of the way, we've made it. We've done it. We got through the whole film. I wanted to do a commentary on this, but you know, this movie's not as action-packed or insane or crazy as Aliens or as Alien Resurrection. And again, Alien 3, it's mid, and it's not bad, and you should check it out if you're interested in these movies. But the reason I'm not going to do a commentary on it is because it's not good enough to be lauded or praised, and it's not bad enough to be made fun of in a productive, interesting way. It's mid in the most mid sense. It really is just okay. So, you know, check it out if you want to check it out. Don't if you don't. But we're well before the ending credits here are going to finish. But I'm going to end the recording because I'm fucking done with the Alien movies anyway. We're going to keep going with True Detective Season 2. And we might do Season 3. I don't know if I'm up for that. If I am, we'll do it. If not, it will not exist. But either way, guys, thank you all for watching. I hope you're doing well. I hope your family's doing well. Don't take any of this parasite shit too seriously. If you're not experiencing symptoms, you're probably fine. Try a cleanse if you want. Again, I'm not an expert on this shit. I don't advocate for any of the fringe type of extreme practices or theories that a lot of people are thinking about right now. These are rogue scientific experiments. That's what they are. And you have to treat them with the sensitivity that you would any kind of, you know, any kind of holistic healing. Some of that shit's true. Oregano oil is antiseptic. It kills bacteria. Oregano oil has certain properties that are good. That's an example. But you don't want to believe everything you hear. You don't want to, you know, dive into every fucking practice just because some guy you respect is also doing it. You know, don't fall into the Joe Rogan trap of like, oh, I'm going to do ice baths, you know? Like, maybe that's correct. Maybe that's objectively good. The point is, you have to be careful with this type of shit. And I don't want to turn this channel into some kind of insane schizo advocacy avenue for weird shit. You know, I go off on tangents. I talk about shit I've read. That's what I do here. I have fun doing it. But for real, don't take this shit too seriously. Anyway, guys, movie's ended, so I'm going to end my commentary. Thank you again for watching. Drink your water, take your vitamin D, and, as always, peace out.